Hello and welcome to the weekend warm-up, coming to you live from the Premier League studios. And alongside me, making her weekend warm-up debut, it's Olivia!
I don't think Seams is ever coming back.
No, she is. I'm keeping Seema's seat warm for this week only, but Don Leroy, am I going to be a good enough replacement?
Of course you are. You're going to knock it out of the park.
Good.
Absolutely. We have a new number 9. The games are coming thick and fast as we approach Christmas period, and here's an early present as West Ham and Chelsea kick things off on Saturday. A huge game between Newcastle and Burnley follows, while Liverpool and Manchester City face away trips. 4 games fill your Premier League Sunday as Ralph Rangnick takes Manchester United reigns against Crystal Palace. Then on Monday, Everton face what is surely a must-win fixture when they host Arsenal.
And this is why Rafa Benitez's side are 14th, with just 5 points the difference between them and the bottom 3. And the table also shows just how important the Newcastle-Burnley game is on Saturday. While the top 3 are beginning to accelerate away, just 2 points separate Liverpool from Chelsea, though West Ham have the chance to cut the gap and put a halt on the leaders' charge on Saturday lunchtime.
It's Chelsea, Saturday.
OK, so it's West Ham against Chelsea, the league leaders, against a side that many thought would be challenging more for the top 4, but seem to have fallen off over the last few weeks. Don,
West Ham, yeah. Listen, you're always going to have a little bit of a blip, especially when you start well, and David Moyes, I think, has done an incredible job. But this is a type of fixture where the players inside the dressing room, the fans going to the game, will be well up for this one. London derby. I think not last season, but the season before, I think West Ham, off the top of my head, done the double over Chelsea. So this is not an easy fixture for Chelsea just to rock up and think they're going to take 3 points.
What did you make, Leroy, of... I think the Man City game is sort of an exception, but the Wolves' performance and the performance against Brighton on Wednesday, because they weren't clinical enough. They did have those chances in those games, but they didn't take them.
No, they didn't. And what was disappointing about the Brighton game, for a lot of the first half, they couldn't get the ball. You know, Brighton controlled the game. Look, Brighton are a decent side, but I just felt... You know, the way that they dropped off and allowed them to play and allowed them, encouraged them, you know, as they got into the game. This is the early chance for Mope, and it was a warning for West Ham. And they got the goal from a set piece, which we've talked about a lot, and we'll talk about a little bit more. But from then on, to be fair, Brighton were absolutely terrific. And I just felt they look a yard off it. You know, Antonio isn't quite as bright. That was really the only other chance.
Do you know what? I said to Joe in the build-up to this game? And I said, in my mind's eye, Brighton seemed to be West Ham's bogey side, and he went correct. He went, Brighton have never beat West Ham in the Premier League. So and this I've looked at this a million times, and I've got no idea who that final touch came off. It's incredibly hard to see, but. On a positive for Brighton fans watching on, I mean, what a finish that is. Lamptey was incredible.
It was.
Great to see him back.
But Mope missed sitters last week. He missed a sitter at the start of the game and scores a goal like that. It's typical football, isn't it? Unbelievable.
Not many Brighton fans booing there, I see.
No, they weren't. You're right, Don.
Funny that.
Just quickly, we could see West Ham's last 3 Premier League results. 1 point out of a possible 9. Very disappointing, that.
Well, I think, you know what? I know people are saying very
disappointing. I don't think it's the end of the world.
No, they're still in 4th place, by the way. I expected this period to come a little bit earlier, in all honesty. So, look,
it doesn't seem like the end of the world. I know what you're chasing. I know where you want to be.
Is it disappointing because of the opposition, Manchester City side?
Decent sides in good form, by the way.
Wolves are a good side. I think they've lost only 1 in 9.
Is it frustrating now that, you know, these results have just meant, you know, West Ham was sort of trying to cement that 4th place spot, and now you've got Man United who've won, Arsenal who've, you know, despite that Man United game coming off the back, Spurs just won. So they're closing that gap now. It's not so...
Yeah, it feels a little bit worse when you look at that little group of fixtures there, and obviously, as you said, 1 point out of 9. But Liv's right. When you're away in 4th, and we're 1 win a couple of weeks ago, West Ham could have went 2nd, and you think, well, we're going to cement top 4, even though that's ridiculously early. Then you lose a couple, and then Tottenham bring in a new manager. Arsenal are going through the gears, and they're playing well. So there's a group of teams that are trying to catch West Ham, and it's going to be the same scenario, I think, for all 4 of those sides. They're only chasing 1 spot. The top 3 are well gone, and they're well clear. They're the cream of the Premier League, but everyone else is chasing that 1 spot. And I think we're going to see the positions and the numbers flip-flop all season.
I was going to say, look, I'd be more concerned if they've lost all 3 of those games. I'd be more concerned if they've lost all 3 of those games and they've been thrashed in any of those games. It's not happened. That 1-1 draw against Brighton is a massive result. And I'll tell you why. Because when you've lost a couple of games, you need to come out of that sequence. And usually it's a draw. Now, Chelsea at home, they're underdogs. It's at the Olympic Stadium. No one expects them to get a result. I expect West Ham to be really up for
Have
it.
they become a little bit too reliant on Antonio's goals, Leroy? I mean, they've had great performances all around. Fabianski in goal, Declan Rice has been outstanding and seems to be getting better season on season. But almost as though since the goals have dried up for Antonio, so have the wins. Is that a little bit harsh?
No, it's true. His form has dried up. I mean, he came back from Jamaica having scored a couple of unbelievable goals, got a private jet. That didn't do him any good. Let's not do that again. But no, I just don't think they can rely on Antonio. What I would have liked to have seen is they left Bowen out at the game against Man City, and I thought that was because he played in Europe. I thought that they were going to swap him on because Antonio looks a little bit leggy, and you're looking at strike, he's playing 90 minutes every single game. I thought that 60 minutes, get Bowen on for half an hour. He needs to just mix it up a bit. Yeah, they are over-reliant on Antonio's goals, but I do think they have got options, and David Moyes hasn't used them as much as he should.
And I think also the squad's a little bit thin. When you're trying to compete in Europe and the Premier League and domestic competitions, and Cresswell's missing, he's a blow. So they need to get minutes into Masuaku. He can try and slip into that spot, and then you lose O'Bonna. There's players that they've lost with an ACL, and you lose him, and then you get good Dawson in there. So it's one of them for West Ham where I would say 13, 14, 15 players, really, really good. Once you start picking up one or two injuries in key areas, that's the test.
Yeah.
Nice one. OK, so Chelsea might be sitting pretty at the top of the Premier League at the moment, but we've identified a little bit of a weakness, haven't we, Leroy? Especially when it comes to formations when you play against them.
When you that
was me and you.
That's me and you. That's our job.
It's weed into this.
We're allowed to take credit for it as well. Yeah.
Is it?
It's a team. We're a team.
I didn't realise it was called the Leroy and Don Show.
Yeah,
Well, it is
neither.
We have identified a weakness. We have. Chelsea's record against opposing sides, starting with certain formations. With the back three, they dropped no points, conceded no goals. Back five, dropped no points, conceded no goals. But against the back four, they dropped 9 points and conceded 6 goals. So, look, it goes to say, Don, if you match up against Chelsea, you're going to come off second best, basically.
I think West Ham might go with the back four. I think I can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And,
it's bizarre, though, isn't it?
It's simple. It is bizarre. And coaches need to look at that sort of stat. Let's have a look at the starting lineups. West Ham, I think it's quite an easy, for me to pick a West Ham side. It's not really changed from this. Obviously, there's Cresswell's a doubt about Cresswell, so Johnson's moved over to that left-hand side.
Cresswell could be fit, though.
Could be fit. Kufal is come in, he did great last season. The midfield four, Bowen, Souček, Rice and Ben Rama have been terrific. Fornals has really lifted his game, maybe just dipped in recent weeks, just like Antonio. For Chelsea, what do you think, Don?
I think pretty strong. I think probably the only change from the last couple of weeks is probably Trevor Chalobah being injured. He's took a knock, so Christensen, Thiago Silva and Rudiger, very strong. Mendy obviously behind. Reece James is going to be a big miss.
Yeah.
He's been in great form, so Azpilicueta, I would imagine, will come into that position. But it's still very strong when you look at these guys. I mean, Marcus Alonso is still a terrific player, isn't he?
Yeah.
Chilwell injured, so that's going to be a huge miss. But like for like in terms of left-hand side and a bit of balance. And then I think he might go Lukaku.
Really?
I think he's given him a few minutes, Thomas Tuchel, over the last couple of games. And he's trying to get him back up to speed. In this sort of derby, you can sort of get through 45, 60 minutes of a game. He might just tire towards the end, but you look at this Chelsea team and it's a really good side, but a very, very good West Ham side as well. So it's a hard one to call, I think.
Exactly.
Romelu Lukaku has scored the most Premier League goals against West Ham. As well.
Boom.
So
we knew
he's been
that.
on the bench.
Yeah. We knew that.
That's why you went for him.
Exactly.
When you said we, do you mean you or you and Leroy?
I think that might be Liv.
We, all four of us.
Exactly.
But Leroy, we have identified a real positive about the way West Ham have scored goals this season, haven't they? This is a real threat for them, isn't it?
It is a threat. I mean, and it's an obvious one. Look at the stats. They scored 6, Liverpool 6, Villa 5 and Chelsea 5. And you know
what I love about that, Lee?
Go on.
That is managers like David Moyes spending time on the training ground.
So Aaron Cresswell, actually, I interviewed him yesterday, and he said every single Friday they work on set pieces, attacking and defending every single Friday before a game.
I've never heard that ever before, Lee. We were doing that for 20 years. Every Friday
Is that thing
afternoon.
every Friday? I don't know. I haven't played professional football.
Not having a go at you, I'm having a go at Cresswell.
So is that a thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
No, it's been a thing forever.
Yeah, every Friday.
You stand there on a Friday afternoon
And just work
home
on
or
that.
away,
Yeah.
and if it's freezing, you get layered up,
Yeah.
and you stand in about 6 tracksuits, and you practice corners for, corners against, wide free kicks for, wide free kicks against, and you get drilled
Absolutely.
for fun.
And you have a walkthrough. You have a walk through your formation and you do set pieces. It's been there hundreds of years.
They must be better
Absolutely.
at it than everyone else, it seems.
Well, you're right, and we'll show some examples of that here, because we've got some corners here this season, Don. Just want to talk us through these. Why have they been so great at corners?
Well, me and you have a different opinion in terms of what the best style is. I always think in-swinger like this is the best delivery. But what they do is they pack the 6-yard box.
I'm just going to pause it there, because it's an out-swinger, Don. But my opinion is it's about the quality of the ball, whether it's in-swing or out-swinger, Don. But go ahead.
But what I see is this key area.
Yeah.
And it's almost like if it's Cresswell, if it's Bowen, whoever's taking the corners, it's like they're going to drop a ball and they're not going to worry about trying to play a ball into there and trying to find anyone. They're going to drop a ball into that sort of area, and that's the target. Now, you've got to have runners then. Can Declan Rice get across? If it's a little bit heavy, can it get a player around the back? That's the area where you want to be attacking. And then you're rightly, from there, it's that sort of flat delivery, and then you get runners right across everyone, and it can go near, it can go middle, it can go far. But you get balls in the 6-yard box, and it just causes mayhem.
Absolutely. And loads of people have said, look, West Ham are a big side, and they are. But it doesn't matter if you're big and you haven't got any movement. You need movement, and their movement is great, and it's only a couple of yards. And when you watch them play here, you just slow it down. When the movement's there, they cover all the bases. They're not hitting a direct area. You see Dawson going there.
Just going to take that back, Lee, very quickly.
Go on, Don.
Yeah, you mentioned...
Dawson going there.
Just going to take that back, Lee, very quickly.
Go on, Don.
Yeah, you mentioned...
Dawson going there.
Just going to take that back, Lee, very quickly.
Go on, Don.
Yeah, you mentioned Dawson, and we mentioned Souček. So I'll keep Souček just standing behind, I think that's Kurt Zouma.
Yeah.
I think I'm correct. And I think Dawson's in that sort of area. Just watch the way they sort of interchange. And that's all from the training ground.
Exactly. They're big lads, but the movement is great. And when the ball comes in, all areas, even in the short area, are all covered in that near post area. In the end, Zouma gets on the far post and sticks it in, and it's a great header. But look what, at the end, they're all in different channels, and that's the key to free kicks. You know, people think, oh, we put it on a pinpoint. No, Cresswell's just putting it in an area, and they've got to just cover those areas.
Look where all the Liverpool boys, sorry, John, look where all the Liverpool boys are compared to all the West Ham boys. They're all in and around the dangerous area.
Looked like a foul on the goalkeeper to me.
Yeah. You would say that.
Foul or no foul, that's the delivery, though.
And this
they
is
keep
from the
putting it underneath the goalkeepers, don't they?
Yeah.
Every corner is right underneath the goalkeeper.
Is it goalkeepers in two minds? Do I come for it? Do I stay? What do I do? Because the balls are so good.
It's hard for a goalkeeper, because if you stand there, Liv, and if you're a goalkeeper, yes, you can jump about 10, 12 foot in the air, and you've got your hands for extra reach. But once you get bodies and Antonio stands on you, backs into you, and if the delivery's that good, you've got 3 or 4 West Ham shirts all in and around you. And it's, for goalkeepers, it's a nightmare. It's almost like you've got to half foul them and actually push them out of the way to create a little bit of space.
Absolutely.
Now, we all know that Mikel Antonio started the season on fire, but one player who's consistently been very good for them and seems to be getting better, and I don't just mean this season on season, is Declan Rice. And I don't know, Don, as a former midfielder, do you watch the game and watch how he's improved? But to back up the statement, look at these statistics here. His passing accuracy, he's over 90% game on game. His shooting accuracy, I mean, that is phenomenal in 2 seasons to go from 39% to 71.
Well, that's amazing. So the passing accuracy, you look at that and you go 86 up to 91. That's a guy that's starting to get a little bit more cute about the game. And he sees a different picture than when he did in terms of having his 86. So passing, yes, it can be different roles. You could wear a number 6 on his back. He could be a holding midfield player. And he might just keep hold of the ball a little bit more. But you start and get to these sort of numbers, you go, a number 6 doesn't get these numbers. A number 8 and a number 10 gets these numbers. So it shows you when you watch Declan Rice that he's not just, you don't just pigeonhole Declan Rice and go, you're a holding midfield player.
No.
He's so much more than that. Absolutely. He can wear any number on his back. He can wear the 6. He can stand still in games. If Liverpool are attacking or they're playing Man City and he's under pressure, he can stand in front of his back 4 and defend. He can also break and get box because he's got great legs.
Is that why other clubs, bigger clubs perhaps, better?
Are you saying that with a smile on your face?
I know, I'm not. I'm just saying.
You wanted at Chelsea, didn't you?
I would love to have Declan Rice at Chelsea.
Everyone would.
But yeah, I know we had him, a point to prove perhaps. But is that the reason you're talking there about all of these brilliant stats? That is the reasons why all these clubs are after him.
Absolutely. When you watch him play, Liv, I mean, he's a great height as well. He's 6'2". You know that he loves the game. He'll try and be as loyal as possible. I think he's one of these players where if West Ham manage to get top 4, I think he stays.
Yeah.
And I think if they don't, I think West Ham fans are intelligent enough to know he's that good. He could play Champions League football easily.
But what I like about him, Don, is everything you said about him. He's added to his game. You've got to remember this kid was a centre-half to start off with. And then we thought, oh, when he goes into midfield, he's just a defensive midfield player.
Oh.
No, but he can play.
Brilliant.
And the passing range now, the confidence is there. He's just adding to his game. And what I like about him now is you saw that he's starting to do that. He's starting to take his shots because I think he can score goals in a 2. And I think that's why I think he's outrageous. And you're talking about the bigger clubs. If you sign Declan Rice, it means you can definitely play just 2 in midfield.
I can remember, Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, I remember his very first game, and I'm pretty sure it was under David Moyes, when he made a high-profile error. And he come off the pitch, Declan Rice, and he was nearly in tears. And the manager, I think, left a little bit on him. And I don't mind that because it's part of upbringing. You've got to learn harsh lessons when you're in the Premier League. And you see from that very first game that he played under David Moyes, 3 years ago, how much he's actually come on. That's development. That's nurturing a player.
Yeah.
Now, we saw a sneak preview there.
Gave it away.
One of his best mates, and maybe arguably his best mate. I know they holidayed together in the pre-season in Mason Mount, another player who seems to just be improving and improving and improving, Leroy.
Well, it's interesting because they are great mates. Last year we were talking about Mason Mount being outstanding, absolutely brilliant. I think it's just dipped a little bit, the hype around Mason Mount, and it shouldn't.
1 or 2 injuries, probably.
Exactly.
It was the start this season. I think he set his own standards last season, didn't he, by being Chelsea's Player of the Year. So I think, this beginning part of the season is a little bit below his own standards.
Exactly, but I think he's going to come to the fore. I think he's going to get better. And we just run these clips in about, you talked before, Don. We saw the team against Watford, and the midfield, Sal and Loftus-Cheek. You're saying, well, could Mason Mount have played in there? But I do like him playing off one of the front 3 more, Don.
No, I think that's where you want Mason Mount. I think he's an intelligent boy who can play a little bit deeper. But when you try and think of someone's attributes, you want Mason Mount high at the pitch. You want him in the 18-yard box because you know he can finish, he can create chances. He's got a good eye and a good picture of what he sees. His vision's excellent. And I think he's one of these players where... And it's difficult because Thomas Tuchel likes to micromanage, I think, every single player. And I heard an interview from Frank Lampard this week, and more so from Jody Morris, and they were talking about different individuals. And they were talking about the star signings and this, that and the other. And they mentioned Mason Mount, and they said the best thing about Mason Mount is you only have to tell him things at once. You never have to tell him twice. He takes information on board, it sticks, shows you how much he thinks about the game.
I've often spoken about Frank Lampard and said that was one of his greatest qualities. He comes across as someone who understood the game very much from a cerebral point, and it's no surprise that he sees that as such a quality in Mason Mount.
Yeah, and the thing is, with Chelsea and where they are, we talk about their squad, but one thing they need to do, I think there's certain players that need to play every week.
Does Thomas Tuchel know his best attacking front 3?
Well, I think
he hasn't got one.
No,
that's fine, because what he'll say is, you're playing, do it.
Yeah.
Then the next week, Ross Barkley will come out of nowhere and he'll play. The week later, it'll be Loftus-Cheek.
But it's Mason Mount one of those players that has to play every single week.
Just like Liverpool's front 3, they know their best front 3. They play week in, week out, and they've got to score goals regularly, assists regularly. That needs to happen with Mason Mount. I think if Chelsea are going to stay up there.
I think that game against Watford, Don, was a good sign for Chelsea because having watched it, they did not play very well at all.
No.
But they still managed to come away with 3 huge points. And stay top.
I love that from a Chelsea fan. You know you were terrible.
We played really badly.
Really badly, but we won. That's the sign of champions. I know.
But it is a good sign because Chelsea, I think there's been a lot of games in the past where we've deserved to get 3 points and haven't necessarily. And Tuchel, so he came out and he was honest and said, we were lucky, but you've just got to take those results and run.
I mean, when you think but Chelsea's performance against Burnley, should have won. Performance against Man United, should have won. So drop points. So you go into a game like Watford, and Watford are a strange animal. They've lost so many games, but they've beaten Man United. Beat them 4-1. They beat Everton 5-2. So against the big sides, especially at Vicarage Road, you're in for a game. And I can remember getting the teams through and I've seen Sal play in midfield and I'm thinking, Sal in midfield? He's only played Villa for 45 minutes. He got dragged at half time. Then you play him in a game away from home against Watford, where I don't know if Thomas Tuchel has played too many times before, but he must know the atmosphere there is hostile. So in the British game, we know what second balls are and we know what get the bits means when they're dropping into midfield. And the opening period of the game, he couldn't get any second balls and he couldn't get any second balls and sort of fight balls, if you like. But, hey, it's all about the win. When you play poorly, if you can grind out a win, it's so important because it just keeps you top of the league, or it certainly keeps you in that graphic there where their feelers are, they're flying.
All about the win, Don said, Leroy. Chelsea need that win because City and Liverpool breathing down their necks. And maybe fair to say they're actually playing better than Chelsea, maybe more cohesively, but Chelsea just keep getting those results.
They do, but they close the gap, Man City and Liverpool, slowly but surely. You know, the goals Liverpool are scoring, the manner. I thought Man City a little bit fortunate to get the result against Villa as well, it has to be said. But I said earlier in the week, I look at Man City and Liverpool, and I think that Pep and Klopp know their best sides, and as Thomas Tuchel doesn't. And he almost...
These numbers there, innit?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you look at Liverpool and you go, outrageous.
Exactly.
Gonna
And then you look
outscore
at you look at them.
Yeah.
Clean sheets for fun.
And the other thing is, Thomas Tuchel would love Thiago Silva, who was 5 years younger, because he'd play him every single week.
Yeah.
Because he's the key. You know, like Van Dijk is at Liverpool, you know, Diaz is at Man City. Thiago Silva, if he plays Chelsea, they play better. And I don't think they can play him week in, week out.
Saul obviously came off and he just brought Thiago Silva on to calm things down, sent Chalobah into midfield.
Yeah.
I think just having him there is a calming influence on everyone else.
So how he manages him is great. And I think that's the key. You know, for Liverpool, it's just like, it's full on, don't have to manage. Salah's going to play 90 minutes every week, it seems. Off you go. Man City, you know, wherever they play, they know what they're doing. Chelsea's just got to manage it a little bit better, I suppose, if they're to stay up there. And that's why I honestly feel that, I do think they finished third. It's behind Man City and Liverpool.
I went Man City as well.
Did
For
you?
the title, start of the season.
Chelsea fan.
Wow.
Sticking by it as well. I would love it if I was wrong.
You're getting
Absolutely love it.
outed on this show, aren't you?
Same up. Still working with Clinton. You guys are
I mean, you're wearing
attacking
blue. I mean, it's a bit of a giveaway.
Didn't do it on
Man
purpose.
City blue.
We're going to take a quick break. Olivia's going to talk to us about Chelsea.